I'm Denise Garth, Chief Strategy Officer at Majesco, and you're listening to the Future of Insurance Industry Leaders podcast series. Follow along as I interview the best and brightest leaders in the insurance industry and insurtech landscape to bring you the latest in digital transformation, innovation, industry trends, challenges, and opportunities, as well as next-gen technologies. We use our experience to anticipate what's next without losing sight of what's now. Stay tuned to find out your next now. Hi, everybody, and welcome to today's podcast for the Future of Insurance Industry Leaders. I am thrilled to have Mike Adler from KPMG joining me today, one of our strategic partners. And Mike and I have known each other for a long time, and I think we're going to have some fun, Mike. Welcome.
Thank you, Denise. It's my pleasure. And yes, we've known each other and worked side by side with each other in the insurance industry, collaborating on some great initiatives. So I'm very excited about today's conversation. Thank you for including me.
Mike, for those that don't know you, and I can't believe there wouldn't be somebody who doesn't know you, but give a little bit of background on yourself, your role at KPMG, and talk about our strategic partnership, if you would, please.
Sure. So I started my career back one of the world's largest insurance brokers, Marsh McLennan, and was involved in some really interesting projects that really got me interested in the industry, just in terms of what the industry does for the world and the economy, and the people that are in the industry in terms of their values and commitment to serving policyholders and other stakeholders. From there, I joined PricewaterhouseCoopers. I had the good fortune there to lead the insurance practice for a number of years. And we did some very interesting things back then. Was part of the acquisition by IBM of PwC Consulting. I continue to lead the global insurance practice there. And we did some interesting things. We acquired insurance outsourcing business, Liberty Insurance Services, and a software solution. So back in the day, we were really starting to put together these really all-encompassing transformation solutions and architectures to help our clients scale, move to digital and new technology. While at IBM, I also had the good fortune of leading our data analytics practice and helping start up Watson, the AI capability. And for the last 6 years, I've been principal at the KPMG Insurance Consulting practice here in New York. Really love the firm and the team that I work with and the values that we have. I lead our relationship with Majesco, which I'm thrilled about. I'm also responsible for all the alliances and our global insurance operations, as well as I'm the lead partner for one of our largest global insurance clients.
It's quite an amazing journey that you've had in the industry. I think that at this time in the industry, and particularly in your role at KPMG, what are you guys seeing around the acceleration of digital transformation? And why is this so different than, say, 5 to 10 years ago, Mike? And why is it now a mandate for growth and survival?
I think what really, say two events in particular for the insurance industry, and you could argue for most industries, really accelerated digital. So one is the smartphone, and in particular, the iPhone and its equivalents, in terms of providing an amazing digital experience at anyone's fingertips at any time, anywhere. And so that sort of raised the bar and dropped the gauntlet for the insurance industry to say, we need to participate in that, whether it's directly to the policyholder or through an agent, a broker, or some other intermediary. The industry sort of woke up and said, we're not prepared. We need to start building these capabilities to really, for both sales and servicing. And then, with the pandemic 2 years ago, we all saw such an acceleration of digital that really, the first reaction when the pandemic struck by our carriers was defensive. Can we still process a claim? Can we underwrite? Are we protected from cyber? But then it quickly morphed into, let's now go on the offensive. Let's really speed up and accelerate our digital capabilities, because the more we put online, the less we have to worry about where people are located and sort of more traditional paper-based operations. So those two events really accelerated. And, I could say with confidence, every client we work with, whether it's on the front end, middle, or back office, are all pursuing aggressive digital efforts like never before.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more on those events. And then I think you add to that this whole next generation of insurance buyers of millennials and Gen Z. They just have a whole different perspective on how they want to engage from the buying to the servicing to the paying process. It's just pretty amazing. And, that kind of leads into we last year, and we're continuing to develop some innovative digital solutions. We did the customer 360 and the underwriter 360. And, from your perspective, Mike, what do you think is different about them? And how do you think they can help accelerate an insurer's digital transformation? And I think one of the really interesting things is the work you guys are doing with Ignite, your Ignite initiative, and how that kind of plays particularly into the Underwriter 360. I think it's a really interesting accelerator for insurers that can really help them in that transformation. Don't you agree?
Yeah, totally, Denise. Thanks for bringing that up. So just touching on Ignite, that is our KPMG has invested significantly in artificial intelligence and analytics, particularly for the insurance industry. And so we have this workbench, this framework called Ignite. And then with that, which includes some very sophisticated, high value, lower cost capabilities around machine learning and natural language processing that, for example, enables what we call intelligent intake. So, many of our clients, whether it's on the personal or commercial side, struggle with getting information digitized at the source so that as data flows through a carrier, it is digitized, it is quality, it is efficient. And so intelligent intake is a platform we built that enables information, whether it's digitized or not, to come into a carrier or a broker or an agent and digitize it and make it understandable and of value straight away, as opposed to having to work with, manual paper materials. And as we think about the underwriting function, that's so critical. You think about all the different types of information that still comes in by paper, whether it's RFPs and submissions or any other material about property. We think that plays a critical role in the whole underwriting end-to-end process and ecosystem. And as Denise, as you mentioned, the 360 apps, we collectively put a lot of thought into that brand. It's one of the things that differentiates what we're doing together around customer and underwriter and agent and others is that it's really a 360 view. Very few carriers or brokers or agents are in a good position to work with their clients or their stakeholders and really show a full 360 view in a highly digital manner and give them both the transaction ability to execute changes or actions on the spot, wherever they are, or the analytics and the insights to help them make better decisions on coverage, pricing, and other decisions. So it's really, to me, a next generation for insurance carriers, whether they have Majesco solutions or not today. These are the capabilities that can sit on top whatever their core capabilities and their customer capabilities are to give them those insights and those 360 capabilities in a highly digital manner.
So one of the things, Mike, this really kind of ties into is the ability to really kind of do ease of doing business. It's a phrase we've used in the industry for a long period of time, but we really haven't really executed on it. And I think having that 360 view, whether it's a customer view or it's an agent or broker view, really allows you to have that ease of doing business with an insurance company rather than having to go to this app for claims or that app for billing or this solution for that. It brings it all together. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not anyone's fault, but if you look over the years, most insurance companies, agents, brokers, they implemented solutions, processes, technology, people in silos. So they built everything in, claims and underwriting and distribution and policy servicing and didn't think early days about the interaction and the integration and the full end-to-end customer experience, because that's not how in the past they served their customers. And so today, carriers are really figuring out, how do I now, totally flip it and serve my customer end-to-end in an integrated fashion, give them everything they need to know about their relationship with us and their potential relationship with us And some carriers are in a good position to change everything, their full core suite and their interaction and experience with the customer or agent or broker, while others may choose to just focus on the front end, so to speak. And, solutions like Customer Agent, Underwriter 360 are fantastic because they can handle, those scenarios and others, whether it's, just working with a current legacy siloed architecture or a very modern integrated platform like Majesco Cloud Insurer.
I agree more. One of the other areas that we're beginning to kind of collaborate a lot on, Mike, is around property and casualty insurance, and specifically around commercial and specialty lines, that it really has been a really hot area in the industry with a range of new products and different business models and more that are really kind of fueling a lot of growth. This segment, I think, is really, really fascinating because while it's growing, there are some really interesting underlying drivers and changes that customers are really wanting. What is it that you guys are seeing?
I think customers in this space and others, they're looking for more information. I want to know about specific products and experiences with those products. I want to get third-party information. So I don't want to just receive information from carrier internally, but I'd love to know, how does that loss experience or how do these proactive measures you might be recommending compare to other experiences outside of my specific carrier or agent? So the combination of getting more detail on specific products, getting insights from third parties. I think IoT is, continuing to play an important role, particularly in the commercial side, to really get, real-time data, real-time monitoring, to prevent, significant damage by taking proactive maintenance and repairs before they become significant. I think all of that is what customers expect today in terms of helping them make a decision, as simply and as quickly as possible.
So, when I think about digital transformation and I think how P&C is coming together, you kind of alluded to it, Mike, with regard to IoT, and I think about cyber, and I think about lots of different pieces of technology that are really digitally changing the industry, but also specifically for P&C insurers. And so I think about telematics, and you think about the new autonomous vehicles, and we've got new competitors coming into the industry. The ability for insurers really to modernize and really kind of innovate around the way that companies are really kind of engaging with customers needs to really kind of change. And what are you seeing over the next 3 to 5 years as we kind of bring all these kind of emerging technologies together, these new competitors, kind of really rethinking all of the other pieces of technology that kind of play into it that create different kinds of products and experiences? Where do you see the P&C industry, where they need to go over the next 3 to 5 years with that amount of change happening?
I like to see carriers do a couple of things. One is, and other stakeholders, one is do some level of collaboration. I don't think our industry collaborates enough on capabilities that could be of value to the whole industry, and that if a number of carriers or brokers or agents collaborated on exploring things that are further out there, there'd be more investment, into certain areas than there is today, which is very piecemeal. And it might help set up some standards, because today when new technologies are introduced, very often there's a long process to figure out what the standard is. And so at a high level, I do think the industry could collaborate more on some of the more innovative and newer capabilities that are coming out. Within the carriers themselves, I think many insurers struggle with how to sort of innovate and how to look at those newer technologies and then figure out, instead of just playing with them and setting up sandboxes, how do I really integrate it into my core insurance operation? What I like to see, insurers that are serious about it is you kind of have to find ways to let the innovation arm, so to speak, operate in an agile way, and be in a position to move quickly, but they absolutely have to be fully integrated and part of the business, and the business has to own it, where a head of line of business or the COO is personally responsible and accountable for those cases that are put together for innovating and taking those innovations and scaling them within insurance business.
So I kind of think about closing this with you, Mike, all the great work that we're doing together and the customers that we're really engaging in. If you could kind of pick one word or a phrase that describes the future of insurance and what's next, what would that be?
Change. I mean, that's kind of trite, but it's really about change and readiness for change. The industry, when you look at it from a regulatory perspective, has seen very little change over the decades, and you could even say century plus. But there has been a tremendous amount of change within the ecosystem. And now when you think about the broader world and the broader context and what's happening out there and the new threats that are out there or the new opportunities to address threats that are out there, carriers really need to decide, am I going to be a leader or a fast follower? Or am I going to just sort of stay pat and be thrilled with whatever, profitability and customer retention I have today? But I think more than not, carriers are going to be impacted by change and forcing change, need to really look at their employees and professionals and say, how do I get my people to be part of that change and not be bystanders? So that's something, we're starting to see our clients and the industry invest more time in terms of really focusing on talent and making sure talent is, ready for the change. They're agile. Now location means much less than it ever did before. So it creates a great opportunity for carriers to think differently. Where do I hire people from and place them? Because it's not necessary to hire them in New York or Chicago or Hartford. I have a lot of flexibility in that regard. So to me, change is the word. If I were running the industry or running a carrier, that's all I'd be thinking about is how do I prepare for change and how do I make change?
You got to be a change agent to succeed in today's world. And boy, Mike, have we seen a lot of change in our careers as we've worked in the insurance industry. And I can say from my perspective, I think this is one of the most exciting times in the industry with everything that's happening in there. And it's really almost like a rebirth of the industry in focusing on the types of products that are really needed to address the risks that are kind of shifting and changing in the industry. It's so much fun. And it's so much fun working with you and the team at KPMG and the things that we're accomplishing together to help our joint customers really kind of live through this change.
It's really been awesome, the last 2 years working arm in arm with you and the Majesco team and serving our clients together. I'm thrilled with how we're doing and how we're serving our, looking forward to many more years of success in the industry together.
Well, thanks, Mike, for your time today. Looking forward to more exciting things coming from the joint work we're doing together.
Great. Thank you, Denise.
That's it for this week's episode of Future of Insurance Industry Leaders podcast. Subscribe to our market-leading podcast series available wherever you get your podcast from. Thank you for listening and be sure to tune in the next time.